Alright, so today we're going to put the head on. We'll start by cleaning off the top of the block, some Scotch-Brite, some brake clean, and then we're going to put the timing set on and timing cover, and maybe the water pump and oil pump if everything goes well. Alright, so how I'm going to start is I'm going to take a fresh piece of Scotch-Brite, spray some brake clean on it, and just start scrubbing the top of this head surface, just get any grime and junk that fell on there. Since this has been disassembled for a couple weeks now, it's a lot of oil and dirt and stuff that's kind of just caked on there. This actually didn't blow the head gasket, so I didn't get the block decked, and it's a brand new head. Alright, now I'm going to use some compressed air to blast out any of the stuff that fell in the pistons when I was Scotch-Briting. See, stuff just keeps coming out, so I guess I'll just keep spraying and cleaning until I think that looks pretty good. It's not coming up black anymore. Alright, it's time to find the head and the pile of parts. So I'm pretty sure it's right here. Gotta get that. Where's the head gasket at? I think it's in this box. Got the head gasket. The head bolts, we will need that. I don't think we need any of that right now. Timing kit, we will need later, not right now. Spark plugs, dipstick, brake pads, all can wait. Brand new cylinder head. Look at that. Cam, new springs, valves. Still got to use the old rocker assembly and valve cover, but that's fine. That's fine. Very cool. Alright, let's get this thing. Man, I really need to clean up this table. I don't need all these old bearings on here anymore. Hold on. I'll do that. I'll be right back. Alright. So we got the head gasket in the head. Let's pull this thing out. Oh, here it is. Brand new camshaft. Not in the light. Brand new camshaft. Spins great. All new bearings. I mean, it's brand new. Everything in here has never been used before. Valve springs are super tight. You barely push them. Let's look at the valves real quick. Light. Man, I really need like Super, super clean. Wow, looks great. All right, let's get the head gasket on the block and we'll install the head. All right, I'm just gonna blow this off with some compressed air one last time. Just one last final wipe down, some brake clean to get the last of that junk that blew out of the head bolts, or the head bolt holes. Nice clean around here, that's the hardest part to get to. Probably the dirtiest part is right around these dowels. Alright, let's get this head gasket on. Wow, that is shiny. Wow, that looks cool. Does that look cool on camera? Just want to show you how shiny these freaking things look. Look at that. Look at that. It's like a mirror finish. Ah, new parts. But look at that. Hello. Hello. Man, that is cool. That is super cool. All right. So the camshaft on this is set to TDC just for best practice. You don't really need to because the rocker arms aren't installed yet, but we will once the rocker arms go on. So just line up the dowels. And it's literally that easy. I hope I didn't just block that whole shot with my body. Yep, that's on there. That's it. You can see the camshaft isn't actually moving the valves right now, so it really doesn't matter. Let me get some oil on all this stuff. Man, this thing is starting to look really cool. Now we're going to put the, you don't actually torque the head directly to the block. You put the rocker arm assembly on top and then the head bolts flow through that and we set the torque. So let's go get the rocker arm assembly. I'm going to loosen up the adjustment on them and then we'll install it. And you just like work from the center and then make a crisscross pattern out and do that repeated like 3 times as you progressively increase the torque to slowly cinch it down. You're cinching down like the rocker arms onto the valves and camshaft and the actual head down on the block all at the same time. So it's very important you do it correctly. Okay, so here's that rocker arm assembly. These are the actual rockers. These ride on the camshaft. These actuate the valves. They move like this. Head bolts go through here, and the valve cover sits over top, and it's attached via these studs. First thing I'm gonna do is clean it. It's pretty filthy. Just took it out of the engine and set it in the back of the truck, so everything's pretty nasty. I'm just gonna spray it down with brake clean. These things actually move out of the way so you can get to the bearing surface, I guess you should call it. I don't know if there are actual bearings in there. pretty crazy how all this moves. Obviously when this is attached to the head, it doesn't, these ones don't move. These can still, they don't really move, but they're not fixed in place, they're just held in place by these springs. Pretty interesting design. I don't really know how that's advantageous, but you can see that little hole right there. That's how oil gets pumped into these. Let's see if we can find where the oil comes through. See the surface where they rub on the cam is pretty good condition. There's a little bit of scoring on that one, but we're really not going to worry about it. I'm actually not sure how the oil gets pumped into this assembly. Must be like through one of the head bolts, or maybe it's on this side. Well, that actually does look like where it is. Yeah. In here, there's a hole. There's one. Yeah, there's one right there. Ooh, we got some junk in there. So, I'm gonna pick that out. Yeah, it's just silicone. When you're doing RTV inside of an engine, be very, very modest with it. Don't overdo it. You put a giant thick layer on there, and then you it on there. All of that extra silicone is just going to get dumped into the engine and clog up ports and cause problems. I'll show you later on when I'm doing the timing cover how I like to do silicone. I mean, that little thing right there, that makes its way through here, clogs up one of these, where is one of these ports? Gets stuck in one of these ports right here, up against this rocker arm, and it's over. What do we got? We got some copyright infringement coming. Clean out these. All right, now we're going to back these off where the rocker arms engage the valves. So when we install it, we're not fighting the head gasket going down into the valves and everything. And then we can adjust the lash from there, which will be easier than fighting it. The only person I can blame for this is me, because I was the last person to adjust these valves while I was in the truck, so this is all my bad. I definitely feel like I over-torqued some of these. Just lift these until they're flush with the rocker. Okay. I'm going to get some oil on all these spots that actually I'm going to air blast this out, get all the I really need to get one of those oil cans that squirts just a tiny little bit of oil precisely on something, because this is the opposite of precision. I'm actually going to be putting the timing chain and cover on first, and then putting this on and torquing the head down on top. I'll explain why in a second. Alright, so first things first, I'm going to clean off this whole area here, get ready for the timing cover to get mounted up. Yep. Okay, so now we're going to put in the just one of these crank keyways. So this just gets pressed into these little things here. I'll do a close-up of this, and then we're going to press the crank sprocket on. It's a dual row. I'm upgrading to a dual row timing chain, which is pretty cool. I'll show you the difference. So these here are the original crank sprocket and cam sprocket. You can see they are single row. One just a normal chain goes on here. I don't know if I still have. Here we go. Here's the original timing chain. So this just goes something like that, and they spin. And it's just one. This thing's all messed up, but just one row. So I'll go get the double row and show you. So now these are dual row. So there's two of them. I mean, two is better than one, right? Like double the strength, like double. It's got to be better. Anyways, the single row is the Achilles heel of this engine, if it had one. It's got to be. It's the weakest point. So upgrading this, make this already bulletproof engine even more bulletproof. I mean, the only reason it failed is because the last person put a really, really cheap single row timing chain on there. They just use plastic guides. I'll show you the metal guides I have to upgrade. So this should be a lot stronger. And here's the new chain. So you can see it's like two chains as one. So much thicker. But because this extra width here, we needed a whole new timing cover, which is fine because I blew out my old timing cover anyways. Which is actually right here. You can see all this is just like destroyed. There used to be pieces of metal here that kind of made a semicircle around the crank sprocket, and when one of the guides broke up here, this all went on like that. When the guide broke, it fell down, got between there, and got the spinning crank, shoved that piece of plastic in there and blew out all of this metal, and it all fell down into the oil pan, and it jumped timing. It was just a nightmare. So here we've got the dual row timing chain and the single row timing chain cover. You can see the difference here. Back to back, that's actually not as big of a difference as I thought, but there is a difference. You can't run the dual row with this. There'll be clearance issues. And just a lot more room in this one. And man, it looks nice. Look at that. LCE put their name on it. All right, let's get a close-up shot of this installation here. I'm gonna use my macro lens. So as you can see here, we've got 3 keyways. Got the 1, 2, and 3. We're gonna be placing the one in here. That's the one that engages with the cam sprocket. that's in there. Alright, so just got the crank sprocket installed. Next thing we're going to do is put the timing chain guides. Install the guides in there. So there is this one. Kind of forget how they go on, I'll have to look, but it's been a while. Not really. This one goes here, I believe, and then this one goes there. See, these are much higher quality than what was in there before. These are metal where it mounts, it's metal on the back, and then it has a plastic wearing surface. This is all plastic, but it's all metal on the back. As you can see, this one you can really see it's metal, and then plastic inside. That's the way it should be, so they don't break apart. Just gotta look at the torque specs for this. That's the GR block off plate stuff. There we go. Yeah, I will also be doing a EGR, and it already had the air injection block off delete, but my EGR broke and it was just like fell apart as I took it apart. So I am gonna block that off because this is a classic vehicle, mostly used off-road, and doesn't require smog. So old. Yeah, here's LC Engineering provides awesome documentation. They really don't leave you guessing for anything, which is awesome. So guide is pushed to the outside of the engine, so this guide will be pushed all the way this way on its adjustment plane, and then torqued to 9 foot-pounds. So I have to get out my small little torque wrench, do the conversion, and then tensioner installed, preloaded, 9 foot-pounds as well. All right, let's get these guides in. It's kind of hard. See, I would normally be like right in front of it, but since the camera, I want to give you guys a good look. I'm off to the side, and it's much more difficult. Everything's more difficult with the camera. So we got the baby torque wrench. This actually reads in inch-pounds, so 9 foot-pounds is 108. I believe you just multiply it by 12. Inch to feet. Pretty simple. How am I going to do this? I don't have a, this is a 1/4 inch. I have an adapter. I might have to go borrow an adapter. Bummer. Be right back. So I just called my neighbor Alex, super good friend of mine, known forever, and he's got the part we need, a little adapter. So we're going to go on a little field trip. It's really far, across the street, see what he's got going on. He's got some cool stuff in the garage. Yeah, I'll show you. Check out his chopper and his Lexus. What up, dude? All right, so we got the correct size socket. Now we're gonna set this to 108 inch-pounds. Now I'm gonna need an extension. Got a little tiny extension for the little tiny socket for the little tiny torque wrench. Now we're gonna move this all the way to the outside of the block. That's it. Do the next one. There we go, all done. Not all done, not even close. Now we're gonna install the timing chain tensioner. This is powered by oil pressure. So this little, how does this go? Is this upside? Okay, so that little port there has oil pressure in it, and it fills in there and pressurizes this. So you can see oil squirting out. Or does it? And then I guess this vents excess oil pressure. Not really sure how this works. Yeah, it probably comes in there and then blows out there to keep the correct pressure. I don't really know. Don't listen to me. There it is. Cool. Just putting in this plug before I forget. It'd be terrible. My friend actually said that he saw an engine. There's one of these plugs in the bottom as well, like in the oil pan under here, that I need to remember to put in. But somebody had forgotten to put it in, and it just, the motor lasted 10 minutes maybe. Because it just makes 0 oil pressure. And these just have to exist when manufacturing the motor. So they have to, I guess, drill out the oil galleys and have room for the sand to come out when they cast it. Pretty cool stuff. Now we get to watch me struggle putting on the timing chain and the cam sprocket. I guess I need to put. Well, it looks like there's a pin in the camshaft, and looks like this pin came out of the old camshaft, so I'm gonna have to take this out. Hopefully this comes out easy. So what I'm trying to do is push that pin, the one I was trying to get with the pliers, push it out. It's really tight. Armpit cam it is. And it doesn't seem to be budging at all, so just messing it up. Alright, so now I got it flipped over. I'm gonna try and use some bigger pliers, some channel locks, just get it broken free by twisting it. See if we can get this to work. I think I've got a spot where you guys can see too. There we go, it actually is spinning. Okay, that's good. I don't know if you guys can see that, but from my perspective, let's see if I can do it with one hand. Nope, I'm gonna need two. Break it free. It's pretty free now. Hasn't actually, oh, there it goes. Came out. That was a pain in the butt, but there we go. It's all done. Let's clean that up and get all the metal shavings off, and that little tiny pin. Look how much trouble. That's my pinky finger. That's the pin. Pretty small. All right, let's get this. So we got that pin out. It's a lot of work, but got it. Well, more problems. This camshaft's different. Wait, yes, I am doing this the wrong way. Okay. Oh no. Did I just remove that pin and I wasn't supposed to? I I think I just removed that pin and I was not supposed to remove that pin. Yeah, I was definitely not supposed to remove that pin. That pin is supposed to stay in there. We might be welding that pin back in. This. This. So it's on here like this. And we need that pin to index this so we can have ignition timing. Well, you win some, you lose some. Now I just lost one, but that's alright. Let's go see if we can just press it back in. Alright, so I totally messed up that pin, yanking it out of there by hammering on it and grinding on it with it, or grabbing it with the pliers. So I put it in the drill, taking Scotch-Brite, and hopefully just wear down those Mars, and this should still work. I mean, yeah, it's still, it'll be okay. It's not ideal. That actually worked really good. That was pretty sweet. Looks like I just wore straight through the Scotch-Brite though, and was just basically scraping everything down with the pliers themselves, but it worked. I don't know if you guys can see that really small. Don't look at my mistakes. Don't. I'm gonna leave this in, but don't be like me. I'm just gonna use these pliers to hopefully seat this back in. There we go. Right about where it was. Oh yeah, that's gonna work fine. We didn't mess it up. I was getting ahead of it. This is after this. Obviously, that's where I made the mistake. I was thinking this goes on, and this goes on top for whatever reason. I don't know. All right, back to what we were doing. Let's get this timing chain in. Watch me struggle with this. Here we go. And there are silver links and black links in the, oops. I guess I can just, don't be too hard. There we go. That's how I should have done it from the beginning. Silver link lines up, but there's a little dimple on the crank sprocket. Just like that. And then somehow get this in here and get the silver link lined up. This has to be compressed. There we go. Now it's just a matter of getting it over the second row. Right about here is where I'm wishing I torqued down the head first, because it would take up just a little bit of that head gasket compression and make this a lot easier, and I think that's why they recommend doing it in that order. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put the new head, or the rocker assembly on and get everything lined up properly. And oh wow, yeah, we weren't even we jumped timing down here too. I'm sure you watched that. So yeah, just gotta triple, quadruple check everything. Now we're gonna drop down this rocker assembly. Kind of a pain in the butt to line up because you saw before, all of these things can move. Now we got brand new head bolts. Actually, I haven't looked at these yet. Wow, these are nice. Got caps, rubber caps, all over the threads. I've never seen that before. And I've ordered like ARP head bolts for my Mustang. I have a 65 Mustang that I've done a lot of motor work to as well. I've never actually built a bottom end on it, but I've done heads and pretty much everything else. And they didn't have this. That's really cool. They're protected like that. Come right off. These are really nice. What I'm doing is I'm taking bolts and just dunking them in some oil and setting them in there. Just getting a couple threads started. So just there, me trying to put this on actually lifted the head off the back and was off the dowel. Amateur mistakes. Amateur mistakes. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm messing stuff up. All right, let's go check the manual and look up the torquing procedure. I know it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, something like that, and you do that like 3 times with ascending torque. Just click each one, probably adding
an additional 2 foot-pounds.
Yeah, bringing it up to 60. We're going over values for all this power it's gonna make.
It's alright, Costello assembled this thing with an impact gun.
Yeah, no kidding. The mains were like 200 foot-pounds.
Homeboy had a Red Bull before he put this thing together.
There it is.
Almost.
Oh, so I said in the last video that the difference between 0.02 inches and 0.5 millimeter was 8 thousandths of an inch. It's actually 8 thousandths of a millimeter, I found out, which is a very, well, much smaller error, and it's totally within the clearances. So that was not actually a mistake on Castillo's part. As poorly as the engine turned out, he at least did that part kind of right.
Break that little screwdriver. Oh no!
All right. So we got the head on. It's all torqued down. Got the timing chain on. Get these other keyways set in there. Get these tapped in. Now, this also came from LC Engineering because there is a larger, it's more out. This is a little bit shorter because this is thicker than the dual row's thicker than the single row crank sprocket, so this has to be a different size. And this is for the oil pump. Alright, so here we got the timing cover and the gaskets and some ultra gray RTV. So what we're going to do is spread a very thin layer of RTV along all of this mating surface on the side. I'm going to do a little bit on the top here, and then on the gaskets as well. And I like to go very, very thin with this. Just a little bit on the finger. Basically just painting this on there. Gonna do the same thing with the gaskets. Now I get to touch my camera with these hands. All right, I gotta organize these bolts because there's a lot of them, and they're all different sizes and it's in different torque specs, so this is gonna take a little bit. Groovy. Ta-da! So that was kind of a pain in the butt, but I think we got it. I don't know, I think that's gonna leak up there. Yeah, it's definitely gonna leak. I can see light through there. Bastard. So I had this machined at a machine shop, and I asked them to just take a little bit off because when I mock this up on the block, it was a little bit higher. There's a little bit of a lip, but it looks like they took a little bit too much off. Because this block has been decked before. And LC Engineering says to deck this to the to machine this to the level of the block. But I can see that there is a definite gap between the head gasket and the head. I actually think that's gonna work. It's a weird design to have two plates or two surfaces coming together and then teeing into an angle, and everything has to match up. And I don't think it's the machine shop's fault. It's just a weird design. It's weird. It's not bad. I don't know. I guess it's kind of questionable. Maybe the head gasket should stop, and then there should be a separate gasket that you can put in there and adjust its thickness, maybe double it up. I don't know. It's weird. But it shouldn't, there's no pressurized oil there. It's just oil draining down. So it's not a super critical seal. And honestly, like, I don't think that's gonna leak. Cool. We're gonna roll with it. It's kind of the theme of this build. Just go with it. Alright, now we're gonna install the water pump. It goes right here. Brand new high performance water pump from LC Engineering. Made in Japan. Beautiful. We're gonna do the same thing. RTV, RTV, RTV. What do I do with the RTV? Oh, there. Just make sure y'all can see. Alright, so my battery light is flashing at me on empty, so hopefully this you can actually get this on camera. But got the water pump in, got the head in, timing cover. We did a lot today. I'm gonna go ahead and torque this down off camera. I'll see if I can make it last with the battery, and then we'll start up in the next episode, getting the oil pump on and go on from there, finishing up this engine, getting it installed. Please like and subscribe, and tell me how dumb I am in the comments.